Jennings.
Good evening. We begin tonight with the presidential campaign. It's one of the oldest truths in politics. Take advantage, if you can, of the moment. This has been just such a day. When George Bush was endorsed yesterday by the Police Patrolmen's Association in the most important city in Governor Dukakis' home state of Massachusetts, the vice president's campaign staff threw itself into high gear to take advantage. The other must in politics is damage control, and that's what Governor Dukakis' campaign staff has been practicing today. Here's how it went. First from the Bush campaign, ABC's Britt Hume.
It was something the Bush camp had worked for days to pull off, and the Dukakis camp tried at the last minute to head off. The vice president, flanked by Boston's men in blue, accepting the endorsement of the police union of the city where Dukakis sits as governor. To these police, the best thing about Bush seems to be that he isn't Dukakis.
We know Governor Dukakis well, and we can state publicly that he is no friend of police. During his term as governor, he has presided over a revolving door criminal justice system. We are ever mindful of his total opposition to capital punishment.
Bush, obviously loving this, and with his campaign filming it for a possible commercial, was practically bursting with gratitude.
And who was it said, the police aren't there when you need them? And they're wrong, I'll tell you. I'm here to receive this endorsement, but also to make it clear that I'm the one in this race who wants to strengthen law enforcement. And one...
Afterward, the police union lawyer, who was personally lobbied by Dukakis yesterday, described their phone conversation, which climaxed efforts on the governor's behalf to avoid or delay the union vote.
He said to me, it's the capital city of Massachusetts, it's the Boston police, and it would be personally devastating to me, and I'd appreciate it if you pass that word along.
McGee said he did pass that on, but the union's board voted 51-0 for Bush anyway. There's no doubt more to the record of Michael Dukakis on law enforcement than the opinion of a police union which twice endorsed Ronald Reagan. But the Bush campaign clearly believes Dukakis had it right when he said the police endorsement of the vice president would be devastating. Britt Hume, ABC News, Boston.
In his image, voters overwhelmingly think he would be less able to...
One number, a call...
27% to 60%. That means that one of Dukakis' tasks in the debate will be to show that he's knowledgeable on defense and foreign policy issues. On the economy, the poll found that though a majority of voters believe the nation has benefited from Reaganomics, they are evenly split on whether they personally are better off. So Dukakis' appeal to the middle class may find a receptive audience.
And those in the middle, and that means most of us, are getting squeezed. My friends, I ask you, can we afford 4 more years of that?
Because polls this year have shown such volatility in the electorate, consider much of their support soft.
Assault and battery on the truth.
Dukakis accused Bush of going along with administration cutbacks in funds for local law enforcement.
Bush and Dukakis were shooting it out on the question of who's tougher on crime. They were in the governor's home state. And NBC's Chris Wallace reports it was once again a very carefully orchestrated day.
The Bush camp worked for weeks to get this picture and then sprang it on Dukakis just 3 days before the first presidential debate. Boston's police union endorsing the vice president, but more than that, savaging the governor on everything from prison furloughs to opposing the death penalty.
As police officers in the capital city of Massachusetts, we know Governor Dukakis well. And we can state publicly that he is no friend of police.
And who was it said, the police aren't there when you need them? And they're wrong, I'll tell you.
In fact, Boston police have often backed Republicans, and Dukakis has fought with the union over local labor issues. Still, today's endorsement fueled the vice president's effort to portray the governor as a soft-on-crime liberal. So much so, Bush brought along a camera crew to film it for a possible campaign commercial. The union's lawyer said Dukakis himself called yesterday to urge the police not to endorse.
If they went through with this, he would regard it as personally devastating to him. He wanted me to convey that message.
Today, Dukakis was ready with another message. His staff worked through the night to bring in law enforcement officials backing him, including one from Bush's adopted home state of Texas.
While George Bush talks about how tough he is on crime, we got a Panamanian dictator thumbing his nose at the United States.
Mario Cuomo, who's helping Dukakis prepare for the debate, showed how to take Bush on.
You want to talk about law enforcement? You be honest and tough, too, George. Don't come sneaking into town, do your thing at a restaurant, and then slip out. Why didn't you stand up here?
And the candidate said Bush has his own problems with prison furloughs, citing last year's figures.
His administration gave nearly 16,000 furloughs to hundreds and hundreds of drug pushers and drug traffickers. Social furloughs, they call them.
By moving fast, then, Dukakis was able to take some of the steam out of the vice president's embarrassing surprise. But even here on the governor's own turf, Bush was playing offense, Dukakis scrambling to catch up. Chris Wallace, NBC News, in Boston.
A Bush aide today denied a charge that the vice president discussed the laundering of drug money with Panama's General Noriega during a meeting 5 years ago. Bush's aide said Bush...
That's true, but ultimately he did enact one. And to hear Bush tell it, Dukakis is not a friend to law enforcement, but his administration has beefed up state funding for additional police officers and their training.
Massachusetts is a safer place today than when he took office. I believe it would have been no matter who was governor.
Nonetheless, you can bet that Dukakis will be talking up a state's lowered crime rate. You can also bet that Bush won't be talking about it. Jackie Judd, ABC News, Boston.
Well, in this election year, being tough on drugs has also become a major issue among congressmen up for